Damon Bradshaw as he makes his return to the sport after nearly a year and a half off. The signboard goes down. They rev the engines, waiting for the gates to drop for Moto number 1 to be underway. A great look overhead, and look at that. It looks like Damon Bradshaw making a successful return, gets the whole shot, but wait a minute. Number 14, John Dowd, gets around him.
Damon Bradshaw, his first ride back, taking the lead.
Well, we knew he would come out charging it. Oh, man, he gets it sideways, and Dowd collects the front wheel, and Bradshaw goes down. Doug Henry has moved into the lead. Well, Doug Henry, not just a top 5, but he is leading it now. There's the green flag. First lap is complete, and Doug, he's picked up a pretty sizable lead over John Dowd right now. In fact, now Dowd in a battle with James Dobb for that second spot. Man, where did Damon come from? Remember, he fell midway through that first lap, dropped at least 15, 16 spots. He's back now in the top 5. In fact, Damon Bradshaw is currently being shown 4th on our Suzuki Field summary, but Doug Henry is leading. What makes the big difference? What makes one guy great in the mud and another guy not so good?
Well, I think it has to do with where you live. And look at Damon, just aggressive, muscling his way through there, makes the pass on Dobb. I think it's they live up in the New England, and rains quite a bit up there, and I think they have an opportunity to ride in the mud a little more often, and possibly just have a little bit more confidence in it. It's also an intimidation factor and psychological. The other riders just assume that since those guys live in more rainy climates that they practice in it, and they tend to look out for those guys.
Look at Damon Bradshaw. He went way outside, a totally different line than John Dowd, then up the hill over the jump. And look at that. He has closed the gap. Bradshaw, who took the whole shot and then fell down on the very first lap, is trying to make a bid for the second position. But look at the distance that Dowd puts on him coming down the hill, and then here's that off-camber turn. But there again, they make a rut in the mud, so that helps him out there, doesn't it, David?
That's right. And Damon, actually, in that corner before, he went all the way to the bottom and tried to get a run at that double jump coming up the hill. He almost made it. Well, the track is extremely hard packed, and it's covered with all this slime, making it so slick. And right here, Damon going a little wide. It's the same corner he fell in earlier, and it's not. He can't get that corner wired, and Dobb slips underneath him right there.
Look at Damon Bradshaw getting ready to make a move on James Dobb as they go in, and look at Bradshaw cut off the inside and scoot on past. Well, we go back a little further in the field. Remember these two guys? Kudrowski crashed on the very first turn of the first lap, and McGrath went down shortly thereafter. They are not in the top 10. These are the two guys who are leading the points. McGrath with 81 points. He's got a victory at Gainesville. Then at Hangtown last time, Kudrowski came back with the win, and he trails Jeremy by only a point. Right now, he has gotten around McGrath, and just look at all that mud. You talked about vision. If you're not up front, you get covered by a lot. Well, it is very late in the first moto. Remember, it's 30 minutes plus 2 laps, and right now Doug Henry has a fairly comfortable lead.
And right now he's got that lead over John Dowd, who you just got a glimpse of right there. And Dowd has been lurking back there, but he really hasn't put on any kind of serious threat to Henry. And I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that, and assume that John Dowd is just pretty content with second place right now.
Well, of course, this year, John Dowd has only managed a 14th at Gainesville, and then at Hangtown the last time he was up in the top 5, finished 5th overall. But here last year at Mount Morris, Dowd coming through with an 8th place overall finish. Damon must have gone down again, dropped the bike, and looks like he's having problems getting it refired again as he kicks it. Meanwhile, back up front, Doug Henry still in the lead, but look at that. James Dobb has gotten around John Dowd and has now moved into second place, and you can look for Dobb maybe to make a challenge in the late stages here on Doug Henry.
Well, he's already put a pretty good distance on Dowd, who was staying within view of Doug Henry, so it appears as though Dobb is running a pretty fast pace right now, and he possibly could catch up to Henry. There's enough time.
Plenty of time left. Doug Henry is the leader, trying to capture his very first AMA 250cc Outdoor National Moto win. What a day it would be for him. There you get a good look at the man who is in second place. James Dobb now lives in Dayton, Ohio. He is trying to chase down the leader. And Art Ekman is down in Dobbs' pit. Let's check in with him to see if Dobbs can make the move.
Everybody somebody was watching the Henry battle with number 14 Dowd, and all of a sudden your guy sneaks in there. Here he comes. We're going for the win. And Dobb has just moved into the lead of this race.
Oh, it's unbelievable. I never thought we'd be up front, but middle of the race, you know, he come up and was on the podium. Now he's pushing for the win. He just passed Henry. I just hope he can stay there.
Well, I think Henry, he looks really strong right now. Plus, he's got goggles. James Dobb is riding with no goggles, and look at this battle.
Doug Henry trying it just a little. Oh, they might have touched just a bit right there. Dobb manages to hold on to the spot. It is going to heat up here in this last lap, and look at the fans waving Doug Henry on. So I thought I saw one of the fans in the background actually jumping up and down just a moment ago, David.
Well, these people are definitely excited. You can hear them right now. These guys have picked up the pace and just dropped John Dowd. He's nowhere in view of our cameras, and it's definitely a two-rider battle. Henry is for sure. He's close enough to make a pass. Dobbs got all the pressure here. One mistake, and Henry's by.
Well, about a half lap to go. Doug Henry is poised in position, coming down the hill, takes a line around the outside, and Doug Henry coming down the hill to this off-camber area, cuts off James Dobb and moves into the lead. You got to wonder is after Dobb got around him and took over the lead, if Doug didn't just settle down and check his lines out. But there he comes across the finish line. Doug Henry with his very first 250cc outdoor national moto win. Well, it's kind of dried out. The rain is quit. We'll have to wait and see how that affects some of these riders as they tear up the hill for the start.
It looks like Damon Bradshaw again up the outside. Looked like he had the whole shot. He had a couple riders inside of him. There he is. Oh, Jeremy McGrath stealing the lead. He did a big swap going into the corner, but held on to it.
There you get a good look at Doug Henry. He's riding in second place, followed by Damon Bradshaw in third as they come down the hill. And there you see Jeff Emig. He has moved into fourth spot.
And I think the motivation from Emig right now has got to be, don't let Damon beat you. This guy sat at home for a couple of years, and he comes out, beats me in the first moto, and here I am looking at the back of him again. And maybe a little pride on the line.
Well, Jeff Emig hoping to pick up some points here in this second moto as he is ahead of John Dowd, the two Yamaha teammates riding, and I believe that's Kyle Lewis on the No Lean Sizzler Yamaha has also moved in that. That's battle for fourth, fifth, and sixth.
It looks to me like, oh, look at the triple. Emig doing that triple all the way up the hill. Tough doing the first moto because of the rain, but Emig didn't seem like he made that much time on John Dowd, but you heard a few people screaming. That's got to look pretty spectacular.
Well, look at this, Damon Bradshaw off the course. In fact, David, I'm told that he crashed into the trees.
Well, he looks pretty dazed. I don't think he knows where he is right now or who he is. Maybe that foam filter he had taped to the top of his helmet cushioned the blow a little.
Oh, boy, I'm not going to touch that. Speaking of not getting touched, Jeremy McGrath way out in front.
Well, Jeremy does well when everything is going good, but the first moto was pretty muddy. He struggled. He did fall, and that was tough, but when the conditions aren't that good, Jeremy doesn't do that well. And I don't think he's an all-around rider, but he is slowly starting to prove that he is by doing better outdoors this year.
What can I say? He is long gone away from his teammate. Doug Henry is in second place. White flag is out, 1 lap to go, and McGrath will become the first repeat moto winner in 1995. Once again, McGrath coming around waving to the crowd. He's just on a cruise control ride right now.
Well, there's a lot of privateers and some of the riders that wish they could be on cruise control and still go this fast. Jeremy making it look easy.
Jeremy McGrath gets the checkered flag to win the victory, but it looks like Doug Henry, if he can make it across the finish line, will take the overall title of the day. There you get a look at the man making his return, Mike LaRocco LaRocket, the 250 defending national champion after missing 2 rounds after breaking his arm, as you saw in that Charlotte Supercross. The way the points stack up right now, Doug Henry's in second place. He follows his Honda teammate Jeremy McGrath by a slim 1 point. Of course, Doug picking up his first 250 outdoor national win last time at Mount Morris.
We heard in an interview last weekend with Damon Bradshaw that he'd been able to ride at home, but it's nothing like riding against 40 other riders.
Well, there they go up the hill. There's the start that David talked about, and we'll see who gets the hole shot. Can't see from that angle right there, but a little bit of a log jam as they go into that first turn. In fact, there's one rider already down. It's number 72, and that's Bruce Stratton. He's out of Earlville, New York, but no harm, no foul. He gets going, and look at that. LaRocco immediately out front, being pursued by the Honda Red Riders. Doug Henry in second, and Jeremy McGrath is in third. Nothing has changed up front. You've still got Mike LaRocco, but he is hotly pursued by Doug Henry, Jeremy McGrath. Things are really tightening up as you see Greg Albertine standing there in the 5th spot. Jeremy almost pulling even with Emig, and now he's going to squirt ahead. And look, they're catching up with Doug Henry. It is really getting heated up here as the action for second spot. Doug Henry, Jeff Emig, then you've got Jeremy McGrath, and right behind them, the 3-time world champion, Greg Albertine.
And just a little further back, you got Damon Bradshaw. He's looking like he might move to the front. And Doug Henry here, it looked like he was challenging LaRocco on the opening lap. It looked like he was searching, had some different lines, but LaRocco has answered, and look, he's already pulled away. He's up in the top of the hill. Right now, it looks like the fastest rider on the track has got to be Emig.
What do you think's going through LaRocco's mind right now? He's probably, oh, look at this. Jeremy now trying to take back that 3rd spot. We'll get back to that thought in just a moment. But Emig manages to hold him off for the time being. Man, this is great. I guess Jeremy sees that Doug is starting to pull away just a little bit, put a little distance, and now Albertine making a move for that 4th spot. A little bit of contact. Albertine washes out and loses some ground. Man, that's great racing.
Well, this is a great battle, and to get back to LaRocco, I think that he's just glancing over his shoulder every chance he gets and reading the pit board, and he notices that these guys are all having a great battle amongst themselves. Possibly in the process they're holding up the speed, and that's allowing him to ride with a pretty good cushion at the moment.
Well, I know LaRocco in great shape, at least whenever he was riding all the time, had that little extra for the last 15 minutes of these 30-minute motos. You got to wonder if he's going to tire out toward the second half of this moto.
Well, in his, I think it's to his advantage today, though. The track, as I mentioned, doesn't get that rough. It's very hot and humid, but it's not getting that rough. Great action between Jeremy and Emig right now, and Jeremy getting the upper hand. Emig's looking ahead to see where those guys are. He's not looking behind him, and I've seen him do that before, look behind, and that's usually showing weakness or, geez, how many more positions can I lose before I can relax? And Emig's looking ahead, so possibly, although McGrath was able to repass him, he hasn't given up yet.
Well, look at Albertine now. He tries to go outside and then cut it back underneath, but Emig gets a good bite off the berm. But now here comes Albie. Albie to the outside, lays it down over the jump. Albertine momentarily takes over the 4th spot as Emig, I don't know, Emig slows way down right there. I wonder if he's starting to pump up, but no, now Emig gets on the gas hard over it, side by side, up this jump. Now they'll go into that left-hander, and we move back up front. As you see, Doug Henry has closed in on Mike LaRocco, and Jeremy McGrath is not too far behind. Now you get a look up front, actually second place. Doug Henry with that double right there is leading Jeremy McGrath. Jeremy still hasn't been able to do anything with Doug, and LaRocco, meanwhile, has pulled away from these two.
Well, you can see LaRocco way up the track there and has pulled out quite a bit of lead. These guys closed in on him, and I'm not sure if they have possibly dropped off the pace or if LaRocco has responded with some speed of his own, but he's definitely opened it up.
LaRocco riding out by himself, nobody pushing him, and now McGrath putting a serious push on Doug Henry. They'll come into this turn and go back up the hill. McGrath still in hot pursuit, but Doug Henry managing to hold him off right now. They both do the double in front of the fans. McGrath picking up just a little bit of ground as they come into this turn. Jeremy is really pressuring his teammate. Jeff Emig and Greg Albertine, remember, they had lost a lot of ground to McGrath and Henry, but they're starting to close in. They've picked up the pace. They're not battling so much side by side for this 4th spot. They're in line trying to catch up, it looks like.
Well, it looks like they have. They've closed the gap a little bit, but they're kind of locked into their own battle, and Doug and Jeremy are pretty far up the track.
Jeff Emig last year on a 125 here at Budds Creek finished in 2nd overall. Get a good look back at Albertine. Albie trying to figure things out here, trying to get the right lines. He's followed Emig around and found out what Emig feels are the fastest lines. And now look at Albie. He tries to make it on the inside as Emig swings way outside Albertine. For a moment, I thought he had him as they come back down the hill, nearly side by side. But Emig on the Yamaha pulls away just a little bit from that Suzuki.
Well, maybe Albertine's best trick is to run into his bike and break that plastic front fork guard. That worked before.
Now Albertine trying now. Oh, look at that. A little bit of a wheel on the rear fender of Emig, but Emig keeps the bike up. Albie backs out of the throttle, and now Emig squirts away. What a great battle for fourth place. You'd think these guys were battling for the lead. Well, LaRocco doing a great job in his return. Of course, he's doing such a great job that he has no action around him. That's why you're not seeing a lot of LaRocco right now. He is pulled away from Doug Henry, who's riding along in second place. Well, no, actually, look at this. Now they've caught him, I believe. LaRocco might have slowed down a little bit, and Henry and McGrath might have sped up as they have closed the gap. Probably cut it just about. Oh, my gosh, down the hill, Doug Henry. A major crash at the bottom of this jump, and Doug flips off the goggles, and oh my goodness, looks to be in a lot of pain. There comes one of the corner workers over.
I can't believe what I just saw.
That was unbelievable. Down all the way to the bottom. Doug Henry obviously in a lot of pain. There you see one of the AMA officials with the flags to make sure that they direct the bikes away to keep Doug Henry safe, but that was just unbelievable.
Let's see if we can figure out what happens. It looks like he falls to the rear of the bike and just grabbed a handful of throttle right there. Look at now, high in the air.
And then the compression as he lands, flips over, and rolls, and that absorbs some of the impact, but that landing.
I've been around motocross my whole life, and I've never seen anything quite like that. I guess on the brighter side, he seems to be moving on his own. That's a good sign. You can see his shadow right there behind LaRocco.
Oh, look how much farther he does the jump.
Oh, I think he did the right thing by staying on the motorcycle. I would imagine that was, I can't figure out how that happened. I know he didn't do that on purpose, but it might have been a natural reaction to just throw the bike away, but by staying on it, he got another foot of travel to help absorb that impact. That's the most amazing impact I've ever seen.
And then he did roll, and that absorbs a little more of the impact, and he was moving, and it looked like one of the safety workers had talked to him, so it looks like Doug was alert, but we certainly want to keep an eye on that situation. As there you get a shot, and Doug's moving his hands, getting ready to take his gloves off. That is a good sign, but obviously he's in a lot of pain, and we do not want to speculate about this, but just that landing, that was just terrible. One of the worst things I've ever seen.
McGrath was right behind, saw that entire sequence, and I think that has to mess with his head a little bit. I mean, to go up and race with LaRocco right now is probably the last thing on his mind. I'm sure, and I know Jeremy enough to know that he's got to be concerned with his teammate, and look at that, Emig has already closed the gap.
But he's not going to have enough time around the last turn. There's LaRocco to take the checkered flag. Jeremy McGrath, who's second.
Jeremy, first, you were the closest to the action, but I'm not sure what you saw about Doug Henry flying through the air.
Well, he made a mistake in the corner before that, kind of slid out over that double, cased it, and I come up right beside him on the right-hand side, and we both brake together, and then all of a sudden, he just gassed it. And, I mean, I couldn't believe he was on the throttle at all. I mean, that's the biggest jump on the track, and, I mean, he must have flew 60 feet in the air. And, I mean, I was amazed. I just watched him through the air the whole way, and I knew if he saved that one, he was definitely a hero, but I hope he's all right.
Well, there you see Doug Henry's on the backboard, and look at that, the thumbs up as he shows the fans as they will take him to the hospital where he'll be checked out. There you see the heat, the riders getting the signboards, not only to communicate, but you can also wave them and get a little air on you. There you see the 30-second board. It goes down. We're just about set for the gate to drop on Moto number 2 here at Budds Creek. Well, let's see as they go up the hill who gets the hole shot. Looks like Emig's out in front right now.
Emig looks like he's definitely got a clean start, some congestion in the back, and LaRocco was on the inside going into the corner. It was a nice place to be, even if he didn't get the hole shot, so he should come out of there pretty good.
These riders all get it fired back up on their way. Look at Jeff Emig as he leads Jeremy McGrath, but look at LaRocco coming up on the inside. He sweeps around McGrath to take over that second spot, and if there's any question about LaRocco's fitness, I think it's been answered today. Well, just as soon as we talk about LaRocco, he gets relegated back to the third spot as Jeremy has gotten around him. And look, here comes the Suzuki. Is that Albertine getting into the side of LaRocco?
Looking for that fork guard again.
Put that in your arsenal. Now Jeremy sweeps around Jeff Emig. McGrath taking over the lead, but just for a second as Emig comes back, but Jeremy up the double manages to pull out in front, and this is just the first lap. Emig trying to put the move on McGrath. They come up the hill, and he will swing to the outside, and Jeff Emig, what a great move as Jeremy went inside. Emig making the pass.
Oh, it's a great move, and Emig set that up in the corner before. He squared it off, carried more speed up the hill here. Jeremy's going to try to turn on this inside where there's no berm and it's real slick. Emig goes out there, he can lay it into that berm and be more aggressive, goes right around the outside, and he also controls the inside off the drop-off into the next corner. Caught Jeremy sleeping.
Albertine has moved into the third position, riding fourth right now. Mike LaRocco, who won Moto number 1.
LaRocco, it'd be interesting to see now if LaRocco can come through the pack. And that's what he usually does. And people are always saying stuff like, boy, if he'd have had a couple more laps. Well, we'll see what he can do from a poor start. And Jeremy, I think when he got around Emig, probably just figured that was that. And Emig retaliating and doing exactly what it takes to beat Jeremy McGrath and take him out of his rhythm, and we'll see if it works.
Now Emig on the outside as Jeremy McGrath tries to cut it in, but look at Greg Albertine. He is really closed up, and we have got a great three-way battle for the lead. Now Jeremy, following Emig on the outside, tries to cut it off just a little bit short, but it doesn't work as Emig holds on to that first spot.
Steve Butler, you're always so cool in the pits. Do you ever get excited when Jeff has the lead like this?
Yeah, it's hard not to, but there's still a lot of race to go. And the last moto, Jeff felt his best at the end, so I think he's pretty strong, and I think he can maybe win this.
You might say Emig is just about due for an overall victory at Gainesville, 4th, 2nd at Hangtown, and 5th at Mount Morris.
Well, I think he can maybe win this. Doesn't sound real confident to me. And there goes Jeremy up the inside.
Well, Jeremy McGrath making that look easy. Coming up the inside on the double, gets on the gas a little bit sooner, and gets around Emig to move into the lead. Here's another look at it.
Well, they've just come out of the right-hander. They're heading up to the double jump. And Jeremy's going to choose to go up the inside. He'll control the inside of the corner, and Jeremy just keeps the bike lower to the ground. Watch his body right here. He puts the bike down on the ground with the throttle wide open, much more aggressive than Jeff.
Mike LaRocco, who won the first moto, and he's gotten around Jeff Emig. Emig is starting to fade. He's dropped all the way back to the 4th spot. Jeremy McGrath is the leader. Greg Albertine is riding in 2nd place.
Well, what set up that move a moment ago was Jeremy was being pressured by Albertine. Albertine had really picked up the pace, was pressuring him, and he said, I got to get out of here. He moved around Emig, and in the process, he's picked up the pace and pulled away from everyone, and LaRocco was also has kept sights on Jeremy McGrath, realized if he wants to win the overall, he's got to chase McGrath, and he's staying in pretty close contact. The two fastest riders on the track right now have got to be LaRocco and McGrath.
It's getting down to put up or shut up here in the closing stages of Moto number 2 here at Budds Creek, Maryland. Battle for third. LaRocco, the winner of Moto number 1, trying desperately to hold off Jeff Emig. Emig making an inside move. The rear wheel kicks out, touches LaRocco's front wheel, and Jeff Emig has moved into that 3rd spot.
Well, that's the aggressive move I was talking about that you've got to make a pass on this racetrack. And LaRocco's going fast enough, but you can't make a pass anywhere unless he makes a mistake. He's not going to. Emig senses he's got to get around, and that's an important move for Emig. All these guys are thinking title, and LaRocco's thinking title too. Yeah, I can't have it no matter how good I do.
And they take the white flag. We are on the last lap. This is the battle for 3rd place. Jeff Emig just getting around. Mike LaRocco, Greg Albertine is in 2nd, but nobody is within striking distance of our leader, Jeremy McGrath. Unless Jeremy falls, he's going to pick up his 3rd moto victory of the season. And with his second in Moto number 1, he will take home the overall victory today. But look at Emig. Emig, after he got around LaRocco for that 3rd spot, he has put some distance, and now Emig might still have enough time to challenge for the 2nd spot. Back up front, there's Jeremy McGrath, the leader. He has a pretty good lead over Albertine. Jeremy coming down the hill. You can hear the fans in the background cheering him on. You see the Homer hankies is what they call them in baseball. I don't know what we can call them in motocross, where the fans have them and wave them around. They seem to be a big favorite of the fans here at Budds Creek, Maryland.
Look at how far forward Jeremy rides on the motorcycle. Look at his head's almost over the handlebars. You can look at his front number plate almost, and that's that aggressive riding style that's worked so well for him in the Supercross, and now it's starting to pay off in the outdoors. Doing a little styling for the fans already.
A little wave over there. You never did that when you were winning on the last lap, did you? You didn't wave to the fans and all that show off like that.
I never could. I always had Brock Glover or Bob Hanna or somebody breathing down my neck.
I'm sure you had some runaway victories just like this guy.
Occasionally.
Bringing a smile to your faces, I'm sure this young man riding number 3, the Honda Red Rider, Jeremy McGrath, has a big ear-to-ear smile underneath that helmet as he is leading, about to wrap up his 2nd overall victory of the season. Comes up the hill around the last turn. A little bit of a wheelie as he comes over. The checkered flag is out, and Jeremy McGrath comes away with his 2nd overall victory of the season.
Well, a track that you're not unfamiliar with, Greg, but it really is your kind of track with the speeds that you can generate here. And 2nd place, your 3rd and 2nd place of the year.
Yeah, 3rd, 2nd place. I'd like to get a 1st place. That's my goal. But the guys are riding incredibly well. I've got my Suzuki going really well, and my mechanic and I have been working hard. I think we're going to need a little bit of a lucky break and get a good start.
This race today, though, you really couldn't make one mistake, or boom, somebody was by you.
That's right. You know, in the first moto, Jeff Emig was holding me up something terrible, and I was getting really frustrated. But 2nd moto was a bit better. I had to make a really aggressive pass on him, and it felt good.
Well, there you get a good look at Jeremy McGrath, the current points leader. 2 overall victories this year. He leads Jeff Emig in the standings by a slim 13 points. And David heating up the tires, getting ready to go.
LaRocco trying to heat it up, but you wear the knobs out a little bit. So in the sand track, you need all the knob you can get.
Signboard goes down. 40 of the best riders in the world getting set for the start of round 5 here at Southwick. The gate drops. One rider having problems at the start, but here they go up the hill. See who gets the whole shot. Looks like Jeff Emig's come out on top, and look, John Dowd around to the outside. Jeremy trying to go on the inside of Emig. Jeremy McGrath off to a pretty good start as he is riding along in the 3rd spot.
I don't think he likes looking at the back of 2 Yamahas, and he doesn't want, it's kind of good though in a way, because maybe since John Dowd's ridden here quite a bit, Jeremy in the first couple laps can learn a few things from him and then go after Emig.
Jeff Emig is leading, and David, you said it kind of surprised you that he's leading John Dowd, his Yamaha teammate.
Well, it does. This is John Dowd's home track, and he looks like he's riding pretty good. He's taking good lines, and you know, I think Brian Berry, that's his mechanic. He's probably wondering what's up too. That's the mechanics of these 2 riders, and right now Dowd's getting schooled by Jeff Emig. He's just running away with it.
What do you think Brian was talking to Steve Butler, Emig's mechanic, about?
I have no idea. I think they would stand somewhere pretty far apart when you got your 2 riders. I mean, it's a team, but it's still an individual effort, and I wouldn't want to share a whole lot of information at this point.
So you're not making any predictions, kind of like Mike LaRocco Sr.?
No, but if I had to, Jeremy McGrath is pretty close to these guys, and as long as he's in striking distance, he's a threat.
McGrath sitting in the 3rd spot, right on the tail of John Dowd. There's Todd DeHoop. A great start for him as he is in the 4th spot, and right behind him, Greg Albertine in the 5th spot. And after that bout with the chicken pox, Albertine has seemed to be getting his strength back, don't you think?
Well, he certainly looks strong right here. It looks like DeHoop just left the door wide open right there, and Albertine rode right through it.
Kedrowski currently riding along in the 6th spot. He's trying to chase down the hoop and then set his sights on this man, Greg Albertine, number 111, who has moved. Oh, and look at Kedrowski coming around a little too hard. The wheel washed out, and he dumps the bike. It seems to happen to him every week, something like this.
Well, this is a replay, and that's the sand for you right there. He's just not up in the berm. He's a little bit inside of it where it's a lot more slick, and he just lost the front end right there. And you can see there's little rocks all in that sand.
Well, Kedrowski lost only 1 spot with that fall. He was riding 6th. He is now 7th behind Brian Austin, a local rider, number 71 out of Dewsbury, Massachusetts. But look at the 2 Kawasaki teammates team up on Brian Austin as they try to battle for that 6th spot. 3 wide as they come around the turn. Kedrowski on the inside. There's LaRocco. Now LaRocco cuts it back to the inside, and they push Austin out, and Austin goes outside and loses 2 spots. There is Jeff Emig, and he is the picture of strength right now as he's put a little distance on Dowd in that little bit of a high-speed turn there.
Well, he's also the picture of clean. He hasn't had to follow anybody other than a few lappers, and if you look at Dowd, he's just covered with sand. You know that's in his pants and boots. His boots are probably about a size 7 now, and it's tougher when you have to follow somebody the whole race. I've done it before, followed people, and it ended up in my goggles at one point, and then I couldn't see. So you definitely want to make your move if you can, not eat much, too much sand.
Look at the head of steam that Greg Albertine has as he tries to chase down Jeremy McGrath. Now, we noted before we went to break that Jeremy looks like he's not riding quite as fast as he was, not as smoothly as he was, and Albertine has closed the gap, and as we get late in this moto, looks like Albie has his sights set on the 3rd spot.
Well, Albertine is known to ride a fast pace for the whole moto, and he's definitely tough enough to do it. McGrath relies a little bit more on timing and finesse, and on a track like this, if you make a few mistakes, which we saw Jeremy do, bottomed out in a few of those pits, and he let the front end get away from him, the back end got away from him. And when you make some mistakes like that, as you mentioned before, John, you fall out of your rhythm. It's really tough to get that back. And right now, while he's trying to find his rhythm, he's got pressure from Albertine. That's going to make it even tougher.
Well, right now, Albertine is looking at the rear fender of Jeremy McGrath. He cuts it to the inside, trying to pick up a little momentum. And look, Jeremy, a mistake on the landing there as he almost went over the handlebars. And that's got to play some head games, and look at that. It opens the door, I think, for Albertine coming along the inside. And yes, Albie moves along into that 3rd spot. Man, it looked like Jeremy almost came over the bike there.
Well, you can't really tell by the camera angle. I mean, the camera doesn't show everything, but that is a steep drop off into that pit. I mean, you go into it blind, and he just landed in a hole. Bottomed out. That's the 2nd time I've noticed that he made that mistake. He also made that when we were talking to his mechanic a little earlier. So a lot of mistakes. Possibly he just doesn't have the bike set up right, or he's just out of his rhythm. When you get tired, you start to get lazy, and you drop the front end in the wrong places, and that's the price you pay.
Well, they're not lazy up front. Look at this battle for the lead as John Dowd being cheered on by the hometown crowd goes to the inside of Emig. Emig is along the outside, and Emig just barely holding off John Dowd. The last few minutes here are going to be very, very intense. Dowd searching out the lines that he knows best around this track as he tries to get the victory in Moto number 1. Well, Dowd has certainly put on a show for the hometown fans. They have gotten their money's worth in Moto 1, and they've got another Moto plus the 125s to watch. Checkered flag is out. Jeff Emig capturing his 2nd 250 outdoor Moto of the season. Now they're getting set. The bike's firing up on that concrete launching pad. The gate drops. They'll go up the hill. Let's see who comes out in front. Look at that. Emig off to another quick start. Jeremy right behind him. And Todd DeHoop also getting a good start. Remember, he got a great start in Moto number 1.
Right, and there's Jeremy McGrath, John Dowd side by side. Dowd's got the better line. And DeHoop is going to really, he's in a sandwich here. These are the 3 fastest riders from the first moto, and he's right in the middle of it all.
But look at Jeffro right there at the point. And you could also see Dowd. Remember, I asked David on the last lap what Dowd was doing. He's got that roll away already. Early on in this first lap, he's already rolling through some of the film on his goggles. Now he's going to try and make the pass on Emig, but he just can't get the traction to make it stick. There you get a good look at Brian Barry, Dowd's mechanic, and he's telling him to relax. A very important message right now.
Well, I think so. Sometimes, you know, you get in the battle, you can hear the crowd is into it. All the good riders are up there with good starts, and you kind of get nervous, and you actually forget to breathe. And a simple signal like that to relax kind of reminds you, okay, you know, let me try to relax and still do the same amount of work, and it works. And right there, boy, Emig just cutting the line off of Dowd. He senses where everyone is, and he's pretty good at getting over there and getting in people's way, and there he does it again on the downhill.
Well, Dowd heard the crowd cheering for him in Moto number 1. He finished second. Now he's trying his best as he looks over his shoulder, trying to see where McGrath is. I just wonder how pumped up Dowd was after that first moto. Even though he didn't win, look at that. He goes right up against Emig, side by side. Emig manages to hold him off, but look at Dowd cut along the inside and takes the lead as he carried Emig way out on that berm. John Dowd with an excellent move. Right now, Jeremy McGrath making a move on Emig, relegates him to the 3rd spot. Jeremy took the inside line. Emig went to the outside, and Jeremy scoots around. Man, what's going through Emig's head right now?
Well, all these guys are. One right after the other. So that speed and rhythm and everything that he had working for him in the first moto is not there. We saw it happen to Jeremy in the first moto, so it can happen to the best. And right now, Emig's got more problems. These 3 riders right here are hauling, and they're going to be on his back fender in a minute.
Emig is in 3rd, and it just looks like Emig is having a lot more trouble negotiating the track here in the 2nd moto.
Well, what we got to remember is that there's been 125s out here. Oh,
look at
wow.
that. LaRocco sweeping around, making the pass. He takes over that 3rd spot, and it looks like he just caught Jeff Emig sleeping. Well, LaRocco's moved into 3rd. Art Ekman is in his pit.
Mike just making the pass on Jeff Emig. He really set him up nicely in the corner.
Yeah, he did. That was a gutsy move. He needed to get by Jeff because Jeff slows him up a little bit too much. He lost a couple seconds being behind him.
I was going to say, Jeff Emig was using that protect the track tactics on him most of the way there.
That's his normal tactic. He just got back by him. So it's just he's an idiot. You can quote me on that.
You can touch that. Okay?
We will quote you on that.
We just did, Mike.
You know, a lot of people don't like the way that Emig rides, and well, it's his prerogative. If he's got the line, he can control and go wherever he wants on the racetrack. If that means blocking, well, he's probably one of the best. And when he's behind, he'll try and find an opening and ride through it. And he found a pretty creative line back there. I don't think LaRocco likes it in there. I think he's going to get the final say.
McGrath is the leader, a good lead over LaRocco. And David, the word from the pits, broken shock for John Dowd. Finally, the checkered flag is out. Jeremy can celebrate the victory. Those are the 2 guys contending for the points championship this year. Of course, Jeff Emig coming off his first ever 250cc outdoor national win. That closed the gap to 11 points from McGrath. Kudrowski is sitting alone in 3rd, but he's going to have some company from Albertine, who's only 12 points back. And John Dowd stands in 5th after the 5th round. Certainly looks like it is going to be a 2-rider battle to the end. There's the gate. It drops. Moto number 1 is underway.
Looks like Jeremy McGrath gets the hole shot, followed by Emig. Those are the 2 riders we just highlighted for you, but LaRocco squeezes in there.
A nice move by LaRocco coming in from the outside. Jeremy out in front. And I've said it a lot this season. Once he gets off to a good start, he is hard to catch, and he's already put a little bit of space between himself and LaRocco. Jeff Emig moving into that 3rd spot. Of course, he's thinking points right now, and Jeremy McGrath is at the point. You don't get many more points than that. In fact, that's the limit. He could collect 25 points if he comes away with the win here in Moto number 1. Look at Damon Bradshaw battling now with his teammate John Dowd, and he moves in to that spot, which would be number 4.
So I like that line. Yeah, you see he just motored around the outside. Well, when you get past on the outside, you got to go pick up the pace a little bit. Maybe John Dowd will be able to learn a little bit from Damon and hopefully stay in contact with these leaders.
Oh, there's a mistake right there. Jeff Emig got a little too close to the tree. touched it with the handlebar, and just like that, LaRocco moves around into second place. Still, that battle for 5th place continues to be a furious one. John Dowd has it, but right on his rear wheel is Greg Albertine. Oh,
look at that airtime.
Oh.
That's the most airtime I've seen in a long time on a motocross track. That looks like the kind of stuff we go out and find, you know, in our weeks off in the sand dunes in Glamis or something.
Oh, man, that is just, I could sit there and watch nothing but clips of that all day long. That is just beautiful to watch.
Well, from the rider standpoint, it's fun, too, because that jump is pretty forgiving. If you were to land a little short, it's not like you're going to, you know, really probably, you know, crash or anything. There's not a big jump they have to clear over. It's just actually faster to carry that much more speed up the hill. It looks pretty neat.
Speaking of speed, it looks like Albie might be a little bit faster. Is Dowd holding him up, do you think?
I think so. I think if Albertine can get around, he'll pull away, and I think Dowd knows that too, and he's just trying to do all that he can to hold him back there, and maybe...
There we go. There's the power by Albertine to the inside. A daring move. Gets alongside Dowd. Just a drag race to the corner. Albie taking the inside line, gets around, and takes over that 5th spot. What do we got here? It looks like a couple KT. Yeah, Anthony Amaradio and...
That's Jeff DeMint, too, at Amaradio.
Oh, right
throwing
hand.
punches.
There goes Jeff Curry by. Oh, this is not good good for the 2 teammates for KTM.
No, this isn't good at all.
Look at the way the bikes wound. I'm sure they threw him.
I wonder whose bike is on top.
Man.
That guy's going to win, maybe.
Oh, and throws him down. It's Amaradio on top.
You know, it looks, and there's the AMA official. Boy, this isn't the good. This what didn't happen in the woods where nobody saw. So it looked like Amaradio. I was just going to say, number 33. That's DeMint picking his bike up. He just looks like he wants to get back to the action. So I'm going to assume from Amaradio's actions towards the end of that scuffle that he was irritated with something that DeMint may have done to him. So looking to settle the score with his fists.
Well, Mike LaRocco is trying to settle down and chase down Jeremy McGrath. He is riding along in the 2nd spot right now. Checkered flag is out. Here comes Jeremy McGrath to the line. I think it was a green bike. Yes, LaRocco's 2nd, and Jeff Emig finishes 3rd. The RPM's up on the bike as they grab some throttle gate drops. There they go. Let's see who gets the whole shot. Man, it looks like the California go, and there's a problem as it was a green bike, a Kawasaki, that crashes right in the middle of the start, and oh my gosh.
That's LaRocco. I don't believe LaRocco.
Look at that Jeff Emig with the whole shot.
Well, there you go. This will be good because this is the battle for the lead, and it's the same way they took off in the first moto, only reversed. Jeremy going to the inside, tries to make an early move.
Well, Jeremy leading right now as it stands. Oh, look at that as he sweeps around. Emig saying, no, I'll have none of that, thank you. Where are you, Jeremy? Oh, I got you. It's mine. Jeff Emig, it looks like, is on his way to the checkered flag. Both hands off the handlebars, as does Jeremy McGrath.